Welcome back. Another edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind powered by OEM Interactive. We've got a really exciting show this week for everybody. So, we've all heard it. Nobody wants to work anymore. The youth of today are not motivated. All they do is look at their screens. My two guests here today will tell you a different story about the generations. The reality is, every generation has complained about the next generation. I know my dad complained about my work ethic, and I'm sure his dad complained about his. Here today, we have Dylan Smith and Sawyer Jordan, and they are going to make you see that the future of our industry is in very good hands. Our partners at Petra Automotive Products proudly bring you this episode. And Dylan and Sawyer, welcome to the Fixed Ops Mastermind. We are happy to have you both here.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So we break the show into three segments. Segment one is going to be why automotive? Why did you guys choose this? Why'd you end up here? Why would somebody else want to end up here? Segment two is what's driving you. And segment three is more young people are needed. And so I want to start with each of you. Why'd you choose automotive? What made you decide that this was the industry that you wanted to get into?
Well, for myself, my automotive journey began when I received my first BMW, or I purchased my first BMW. I used to sell newspapers door to door in high school, and I bought a 1992 325 5-speed, and it wasn't in the best shape, but I had an auto shop in high school, and then ever since then I was just messing around with it, fixing it. And it just allowed me to have freedom, and that's kind of sparked my interest. The automotive sector can be very rewarding, but sorry if it's a little loud. I'm upstairs.
Yeah, hey, that's what this is about, right? You're there in the shop. We see the stack of tires behind you. That's all good. How about you, Sawyer?
Well, I really ended up in automotive by chance. Funnily enough, I was working at a dealership for about 2 years. I was in the wash bay. I transferred to another location. I was in front of the house work in a DRC, which is just digital retail. I was an assistant, so I was planning, scheduling appointments. And, I was at the time committed to Wayne State University up here in Michigan, going into music production. I'm a big music head. And funnily enough, I get in a conversation with one of my close friends now, Mr. North York. He is a salesperson. He's like, listen, man, if you're working at a dealership, why don't you want to go automotive? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I love music, but at the same time, I got this other passion here. It's like, let me tell you about my experience. Throws on his experience, throws on Northwood University, our local college in Midland, Michigan, and just turns into a 2-hour conversation after hours. Convinced me to go automotive, and I'm like, heck yeah, I'm driving nose in now.
It's that's the story of a lot of people, right? It's not necessarily where you intended to end up, but it's where you did end up. And so as you guys start to think about your careers, you're both really young in this industry. What do you think is important to you when you think about your career in this industry?
I think it's important if you need to distinguish between whether you want to fix vehicles, you want to sell the vehicles, you want to tell people what to do on the service side or the sales side. There's a lot of different roles that you can play in the automotive field. There's even software engineers and people that write code for stuff, and that's like the next level. But if you want to get in the automotive field, just have a passion for it and know what brand you're interested in. The way I like to see it, if you needed heart surgery, you wouldn't go to a brain surgeon. So you have to have a specialty. My specialty is BMW. I don't know anything about BMW, and that's just my passion. So if you're really interested in a certain brand, I would recommend going with them, and you'll be more than happy.
I can't agree more, Dylan. No, automotive, and the thing that I love the most about it is that it's such a broad industry at times, and there's just so many different directions you can take, whether it's front of the house, back of the house, whether it's a controller, dealer owner, dealer partner, anything. There's just so much that goes into it. And another thing I love a lot about it is that it's ever changing as well. So the people that are in the automotive industry have to be willing to accept this change, have to be willing to roll with the punches, and just keep growing, man.
Yeah, it definitely is ever changing. I can tell you that I started in this industry in 1987, and it is vastly different than it was back then. Although I'll also tell you, There's still customers bringing cars in that are not always happy that their cars are broken. There's still customers bringing cars in, right? That has not changed. And as much as there's talk of the industry changing, the types of cars, all that kind of stuff. The cars that we know aren't going anywhere for a long time, and are going to need people to fix them. And as you alluded to, Dylan, there's another layer to that, right? We're here in the dealership side of it, but there's another layer to that of the people who are actually programming the computers in the cars. There's people who are designing the parts that have to go on to each car. There's a really a massive opportunity within automotive that extends far past the dealerships themselves. So there's been a lot of talk in probably the last 10 years or so, right, about passion and purpose. And if you do what you're passionate about, then you'll have a purpose. I think the two are separate. I think you can have a passion for something, and I think you can have something that is your purpose in the world. How do you guys find purpose within what you're doing in automotive?
Well, I'd say it's pretty simple for salesperson in front of the house to have an answer to this, because I love putting dreams in driveways. That's my biggest thing. Is I love seeing the people happy. I love building those relationships, making those relationships, and just satisfying a customer, meeting them where they want to be met. It is just my driving factor and my purpose in this industry is every day, every morning I wake up and I go to work, I change a life. I help somebody through the second largest purchase in their life. I get them imagining this beautiful vehicle in their possession. It is something that just drives me, motivates me every day, as I can be helping a person build their credit. I can be helping a person regain their credit. Everything that goes into a deal is all based on that relationship you make with that customer. And I'm a huge relationship guy. I love connection. Our industry is about connection. And the whole world, when you think about it, is all about connection. And that's what gets me going. Is I'm passionate about people.
That's awesome. We work hand in hand. You sell people the second most expensive purchase in their life, and I service it, because you're not going to purchase a $200,000 or two Jim Bob's down the street. You want to take it to somebody who knows what they're doing, and because there's not a camera watching you. And in this industry, there's a lot of people who are working unethically just because there's no one watching them. If I break something, I'm just going to shove it to the side. No one's ever going to know. They're never going to open the hood. But my purpose is I just take extreme pride in working on these vehicles, and people put their families in their vehicles. And if you don't tighten up the lug nuts and a wheel falls off, it can result in catastrophic consequences. So I really take that part seriously.
Yeah, it's for both of those. I hear taking care of people's families, right? From you, Sawyer, on selling a customer the right car to take care of their family, and on your side, Dylan, it's making sure they still have that car to either get their family on vacation, get their family to school, get themselves to their jobs so they can earn money to take care of their families. There's you can look at the dealership world in a narrow perspective, or you can look at it as in a much greater perspective on what we actually have impact in people's lives in what we're doing here. Love those answers. When you guys chose automotive as your career, Sawyer, you started in the fixed side of the house and moved to sales, and now you're doing some digital retailing stuff and things. And Dylan, you've always been on the fixed side. I was always on the fixed side. What is it that actually drove you to that? Dylan, have you always been interested in fixing things? I'll tell you, and I've been pretty open about this. I was not a good tech. Like, that's how I started in this business, but I was not good at it. And after a few years, Ford asked me not to work on their cars anymore. So it's but as a kid, I was always taking things apart.
Oh, absolutely.
I
I
was,
can definitely attest to that. Yeah, I was always tinkering with stuff, climbing on cupboards when I shouldn't be, and just trying to see how things work. And if something broke, I would like to take it apart and see what actually broke. And when I've seen that I can actually fix something and then go really fast, and it'll take me wherever I want to go, I kind of just was like, okay, maybe if I lean towards the automotive side, and I can put my nerdiness into fixing these vehicles, and if something breaks, I'll know what to do and how to fix it.
Dylan, you definitely played with Legos as a kid, right?
Legos, Connects, all that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's what it takes. I started out in fixed. I did detailing. The dealership my dad works for, they were short a guy in the back, and I was like, you know what? Let me do something fun. I started in detailing. I just started to appreciate the back of the house because instead of making relationships with the customers up front, you're more so making a relationship with your fellow coworkers and the people around you. And it has that same competitive nature as salespeople have, but it's a whole new thing. So I went from detail, I went over to being a lube tech, and same thing, just every day driving, keep people safe. After that, did some time as service advising, and I didn't find my place in fix as much as I found it being upfront with the people. And service advising was spectacular, but I'm charismatic, man. I wanna sell, I wanna communicate, and I just wanna grow and grow. And that's where my love for front of the house came. It's like, you know what? I love dealing with people. I love working with the service department, but let me talk to some real people.
Yeah, I would say that's where you are now is probably not your last stop either in what you're doing. You seem to want to get to know every single piece of it. So
Yes. That's what you gotta
that
that's what you gotta learn. And that's something I'm appreciating more and more is there is so much that you can hold on to. There's so much, whether it comes to fixed ops, aftermarket, front of the house, everything. There's always a variable. And right now, what I'm doing the most expansion in my brain on is parts department. I know nothing
hmm,
about the freaking parts department, and I am so willing to admit that. But sometimes people say it's the black sheep of automotive, and I think parts is probably one of the most profitable parts of dealership. And
yeah.
it's that's what I'm trying to expand my brain on right now. It's the parts department.
It's also Aaron Waters, our CEO at OEM Interactive. There's a lot of similarities between the dealership and restaurants, right? And he has some hospitality background, and he always talks about the parts department being like uh, in the restaurants called dish, right? The 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 people who are keeping the dishes clean, making sure that there's a way to serve people, right? Because you can make all the great food. If nobody washed the dishes, you don't have a way to actually serve that food to people. And parts is that's what he makes that metaphor to is that parts is like that. They're like the dish portion of it. Um, Dylan can do a great job diagnosing that vehicle. If parts can't give him a part, he's not going to go and make a new PCM for the vehicle. So
Yeah, and a lot of times, like if it's a customer pay versus warranty, like they want you to save a lot of the parts, and like it's where a lot of people like will be charged back on like audits and stuff, and you're replacing
mhm,
parts, throw it in the trash, and then end of the year you got to pay X amount back because you didn't ship it back. So parts is definitely like the lifeblood in conjunction with the technicians and the sales and all that.
yeah, absolutely. And so that finishes up our first segment, gents. And that first segment was brought to us by InteliChek. Know your competition. And so we move into segment two, which segment two is talking about what drives you. And we sort of touched on some of this when we got started. Uh, but both of you guys are very driven people, right? There's some really great young people in automotive. You two are super driven people. Um, Dylan, you're a young guy and you're already a BMW master technician. That's an amazing feat. Sawyer, you've worked detail all the way through to digital retailing in the dealership now at a pretty young age. That just being able to navigate those different positions is difficult. And so who do you guys credit in your lives for having that exceptional drive to succeed? Is there somebody you can point to?
My dad, 100% my dad. He ended up in automotive by chance, just like me. Um, my oldest brother was born while my mom was still in college, so dad clicked. I need to provide. So from there, he moved into it was a GMC store and just worked his way from the bottom of the top. Started off in used cars, used car manager, finance, moved over to general sales manager. He just he is where I get my drive from. he is where I get that, okay, if I work hard enough, I can get there. And another thing I get from him is my just sheer ambition. And I want the world. And I understand that you got to take certain steps along the way to get there. But I keep on setting a bar and then surpassing the bar, setting a new bar, surpassing that bar. That's what gets me through my days. Thinking about my dad, everything he went through, and I'm like, okay, if I commit to this, if I plant my seeds, and if I power through, I will be successful. And that's 100% it.
Right.
Totally agree with that, man. Yeah, my parents, I couldn't be where I'm at without them and my family, but I get bored really quick. Like once I master something, I like to move on to the next thing. And obviously in the BMW world, we have really cheap cars, or not cheap, but like lower end and higher end. And I find myself liking the higher end vehicles and like the racing on like Turner Motorsports and the GT4s and the GT3s and people like Steve Dinan. He's one of the most world famous BMW tuners. He has a new company now called Autobahn. But I strive to progress. Like I don't want to be doing maintenance for the rest of my life. Wrenching on cars, I want to progress. And like you said, you want the world. And I'm just constantly looking for ways to better myself and seeing how other people have done it in my industry. I kind of gives me motivation to work harder, and I read a lot too, so get a lot of motivation from books.
Yeah,
I get a lot of my drive from the people that I'm around every day, and
Absolutely.
whether it's our general manager, a fellow salesperson, a sales manager, desk man, anything, I feed off of their passion for this industry, and I feed off of their knowledge, and I just see what they're doing now. And I want to learn their process. I want to learn, how do they do it? Why do they do it that way? What sets it apart from the other person's way of doing things? And, it is 100%. I get my drive from the people around me.
Yeah, I came from a dealership that had 3 technicians and about 4 other people on staff, and now we have like 20 technicians, and I don't even know everybody here. I've only been here since May, but like your word and your name is bond in this industry. Like if you make connections with people, if you're a sales department or a technician, people are going to come back and say, hey, I want Dylan to work on my car. Hey, I want Sawyer because I want to get a new car and I don't want to talk to anybody else. And your reputation is very important in what you do.
Your network is your net worth.
There you go.
That's the saying.
Absolutely.
Network is your net worth. And another quote that stuck with me is, your repetition is your reputation. Repetition is reputation. And that is 100%. You just grind every day, keep doing what you do, and boom, you're going to be seen as a known, liked, and trusted person. Who do people want to buy from? People they know, like, and trust. Dealers they know,
Absolutely.
like, and trust. Dealers that involve that community. It's just so much goes into it. And I love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely some great quotes right there. You want to become somebody's car guy or car girl, right? When they think of something they need to know about a car or a problem they have with a car, you want them thinking, oh, I need a car, I got to call Sawyer. I got a problem with my car, I'm going to call Dylan, right? Or when they're calling the dealership to get their car serviced, that they're like, I need to make an appointment. I want it on Thursday and I want Dylan to work on my car. Well, Dylan's off on Thursday. Well, then give me a different appointment because I'm not bringing my car in with anybody else. Right. That's what you want to become. When you talk to people in life, you ask them, hey, I got a leaky sink in my house. And they go, oh, hey, I got a plumber for that. Right. Rarely does somebody say, when you say you have a problem with a car, does somebody go, oh, hey, I have a person for that for you to call. Right. And that's where you want to get to be. You want to be that person's car guy or car girl.
Well, it's gotten to the point I have to take this off when I get off work. I can't even walk through Target without people asking me a bunch of questions. When you work on BMWs, let me just take this off before I go in.
Absolutely. I remember those days well. I spent almost 10 years at a Ford dealer as an advisor and manager. And you would try to go to the grocery store after work, and it was, if they didn't see your name, they saw the name of the dealership, and somebody had questions, and it was the same thing. Yeah, you had to go in disguise. A little harder for you to disguise yourself, Dylan, than I can. hard to hide that head of hair. I can put a hat on with a wig hanging out and be someone different.
I could stuff it up in the hat, I'm sure.
All right. So this week we've got a stat of the week. And the stat of the week is brought to you by PartsEdge, your power tool for your parts department. It's estimated that less than 35% of people employed in a dealership have a college education. Um, and I love that stat because one of the great things about automotive is you can get into it with zero education and still climb to the highest levels of the dealership world. Sawyer, when we talked on the phone, I think I may have told you this story. I worked at a group, 6-store group, and it was owned by a guy who used to be a former technician at one of those stores, and ended up buying the 6-store group. Um, Guy had no college education, right? Had got all his education inside the dealership, learning to work on cars, and winds up buying this 6-store group. You can literally go from entry level to dealer principal in this industry, and that doesn't happen in a lot of other industries. I know there's some that it does, but nobody is walking into Google right now as an entry level person and is going to wind up the CEO of Google. It's not going to happen, right? So that's the reason that I love that quote is because it's so few people that really have that college education within automotive, and yet it's a career that has so many opportunities, so many different places that you can go within this industry, even leaving the four walls of the dealership, right? As you alluded to earlier, Dylan, going to the companies that are manufacturing parts, that are creating the software to run the cars. Just a lot of different opportunity there. And so, segment two is what drives you, right? And we started to talk about that a little bit. Um, and so, Dylan, again, master BMW technician at a young age. Um, what were the internal factors that kept you going as you started out to do that? Because it's a difficult road to become a master technician, right? It's not like you take a couple of little quizzes and they give you a certificate for it, right? There's a lot that goes into it. So what were the things that drove you internally to continue on?
Well, once I figured out that this is what I wanted to do, really just wanted to be the best that I could and go as hard as I could at it. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I went to automotive school and I have 2 associate's degrees. And just being in there and being around my peers, I seen how they would operate, and I seen how the people who come in as like mentors and like talk to us, and they're at the upper echelon making $200,000 a year, and like how they operate, how they dress. And I was like, man, I don't want to be just some grease monkey. Like I want to be the best at what I do. And I went to BMW Step in Arizona. It was a 4-month-long training program, and that's where I really honed my skills. I was learning from really, really smart instructors on how to properly work on BMWs and not just immerse myself in it fully. And yes, I am a master technician, but I just consider that a title because obviously in the BMW world, there's associate level, certified level, associate level, member level, certified level, master, like I am. And now they have this new one called Master Elite, which is like higher than a master technician. So at the end of the day, it's really just a title. You could have an associate technician no more than a master technician and this and that, but it was a very difficult thing to achieve. The next step for me, I go back to Illinois next week for my first high voltage class. So I'm really excited about that because that's where the future is heading, and I'm looking forward to working on these Gen 5 batteries and whatnot.
Yeah, the different world there, right? That's still a lot of the same mechanical parts that are on the car, minus the engine and transmission. But understanding the electrical system, understanding the battery itself, how the battery works. I don't think most people outside of automotive realize how large that battery is that's that's running those electric cars. I think when they talk about electric cars and that it has a battery, they're picturing everything in their life that has a battery, or even their car now, like that has a battery. And it's not comparable.
Oh, no.
Sawyer, so can you share a moment with us when you felt particularly proud as a moment of something that happened in work, or whether that was helping a customer or a project that you completed at work?
So as a VIP sales consultant, what I would do is deal with consumers out of the service lane directly. So it would go along the lines of the customer come in for service, and we would utilize some tools. We have one called Affinitive that we primarily used to see what they were driving, how many miles it had on it, equitable position, stuff along the lines of that. And the amazing thing about Sutherlin Automotive Group is that Brett Sutherlin made a software for us to use called Smarter Dealer as well. And that just helped us put an appraisal value on the consumer, on the consumer's vehicle, just to present them up front. However, there's this day, it was early on in my time, probably my fourth or so week, and this young lady, give me a minute on her name, just blanking on me, Miss Nazarene Reed. Miss Nazarene came in, she had a 2019 Camry L, so base of the base Camry. And so she's got about 77,000 miles. She's coming close on her, I think she got on her base warranty. And she was looking at getting into an extended warranty. She was paying around $450 a month on that Camry L. And she was looking for, walked into my desk just by chance, like, hey, do you know how I can get an extended warranty on my vehicle? I said, yeah, let me go talk to my finance guy about it. Asked her name, asked her about her vehicle, just some background information I needed, saw what she was paying then, went back to talk to my finance guy. I'm like, hey, I can't remember. Hey, Gary. So this lady named Miss Nazarene wants to get on a new extended warranty for her vehicle. It's approaching 100,000 miles. What's that going to look like? I said, well, it's probably going to bump her around $50 to $60 more a month. I said, okay, that's breaking 500 a month on a 2019 Camry L with around 77,000 miles. So I go back to her. I'm like, well, we'll bump your payment up this much, but you said you had a son that was a bit bigger. So let me see what I can do. I'm sure I could get you into a vehicle paying less what you would be paying on the extended warranty, brand spanking new, all new warranties. It's a bigger vehicle. So, okay. Went out, brought her out a Corolla Cross, fell in love with the vehicle. Now she's paying, I think it was $470 a month on a vehicle that already 0 miles, whole new warranty set up on it. And this all stemmed from her walking up to me asking about, hey, I want an extended warranty on my vehicle with 77,000 miles. It makes me, I think about that very often because it shows me how when people can see behind that curtain, when people can see a transparent business, they tend to understand a little bit more about their situation. When I was speaking with her on this, it was, listen, you're paying this a month on this vehicle with this many miles. Granted, Toyotas will run forever. However, you're out of warranty. And if something happens, lo and behold, you got to pay for, oh no, you're going to have to do that yourself. And I do not want that for you. I want you to be in the same situation where you are now, paying around what you are now with a whole new warranty, because that's going to do nothing but benefit you. Everybody's got to have a vehicle. Everybody's got to drive. Just got to have a warranty. And that's, it makes me good to think about it. I think about it very often, Miss Reed, and it makes me happy to know that I took her out of a situation that some people could have just said, oh yeah, we'll throw that on. We'll just throw that on. No worries. And just dove a little bit deeper into that, got her into something she loves, got her into a brand new situation that is a better situation than what she was in when she came into the dealership.
Yeah, well, that's having that open mind about of being a problem solver rather than just an order taker, right? That is what allows you to see that, as opposed to, oh, I'll just take her to finance and let finance put a warranty on it, right? That's great story there. Dylan, same question to you. Something, a moment that made you particularly proud of your work or a project that you completed, even if it's outside of work.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to finish this project that I was on because I moved from California to Missouri. But I was driving home one day from work, and some guy in an M3 BMW was trying to race me down the corridor, and we're having a good time. We came up to a stoplight, and then he asked me for my number because he has a bunch of friends who were in the racing world. And I actually got the opportunity to work on E92 M3 or E92 335, excuse me, and it was just they were working on building a race car so that they can go and race tracks around California. And I really helped them put it back together. Like We had plexiglass windows, carbon fiber trunk, carbon fiber wings, the whole 10 yards. And they had all the parts, but they didn't know how to put it on. So this guy kind of purchased the vehicle off of Craigslist, and he kind of just bought all the parts, and then he didn't have anybody to put it together, so it was just sitting in the shop. Now we come in there, we would eat pizza and play music and work on race cars, and that's like, I'm cool doing that for the rest of my life. And ever since then, that's been like my driving force. Is I just want to have the ability to like work on cool stuff and just go fast. Like that's what I really like to do. I really like to just be in a car, go on a back road, put my music up, and just chill. That's my thing.
There you go. I love that. I like to go fast too. I'm older and break easier now though. Like, so I've got to be more cautious about going fast. Couple of great stories there. Really appreciate you guys sharing that. I'm going to actually move us into segment 3 here. All right. Because segment 3 is about more young people needed. And I want to talk about some of the impact that you guys are having on the industry. Segment 2 was brought to us by Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated. And so as we get into segment 3, more young people needed. We all know the industry needs more people. It's not just automotive. There's the skilled trades in general need more people to get into them. How do we start to better attract young people into the industry? I will tell you, around my area, I'm in the New England area. Casella is a waste management company. They have a new commercial that's been running in my area, all about technicians and trash collectors and things, and about the hard work and the passion behind it and the purpose behind it. And it's an amazing commercial. It talks about, hey, it's dirty work, but we love it. This is what we love to do. And I think more companies need to embrace that, right? Rather than just showing, hey, you could go work in the office, right? You could be the controller of the company. But there are more things that you can do. And so what do we have to be better at as an industry in being able to convey those messages to the young people, to get more people that are actually interested in coming and joining us?
Well, where my answer comes from is, I mean, I'm a young kid. I'm 19 years old. I grew up with a phone. I grew up with social medias, everything. The one thing that I believe, is stopping kids from my generation coming into this industry is that it is performance based and it is accountability. 100% accountability. Lots of people my age are used to, they can spout off on their phone, on Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever, and hide behind that screen. They don't seem to be as accountable for what they say because they're behind the screen. And it's a lot different with things like automotive and like the trades, to where everything you do, you are held accountable for it. Dylan, you were talking about, you don't tighten a lug nut, wheel falls off, somebody crashes. That's on you for not tightening that lug nut. It is 100% reliability on your ambition. It is reliability on your accountability to your own actions and your own work ethic. And now, ways to attract young people my age is, one, Dylan showed the money sign. Money is a huge thing. Definitely is. Can't agree more. You promise these kids. Let me rephrase. So when you're trying to gauge an interest of a kid my age, you have to show them their potential on, listen, if you work hard and if you do this, you can be in this position. And oftentimes money's a motivator, right? I don't entirely believe money is my motivation for automotive. Of course, automotive money will come, but you have to be willing to address your plans for a person to the way that they want their future to look. I'm big on people. I want to be a connector. So my managers and the people that want me is, listen, Sawyer, you can be connected with this community in this way. And 100% money will come, but it is all around. You base this experience in this industry around what the young person my age wants. A lot of the times it is money. A lot of the times it is connection. A lot of times it's just freaking getting a car and flooring it down a back road. I mean, hell, I want an M4. I want an M4. I need an M4. And I know down in automotive, I can get an M4. But I have to work my way up to that. And it is all just setting those expectations of, listen, if you do this well, and if you do this well, then you can be here. You can be a master tech. You can be a general manager. You can be a dealer principal. As long as you set that foundation for yourself, as long as you hold yourself accountable, you can drive that M4. You can drive that Aston. You can drive anything. Just work. Just put your brain to it. Find something that motivates you. Let me find what motivates you, and let me give you the opportunity to seize that. It is all around managers knowing their staff, knowing these young people coming in, and knowing what motivates them specifically. We're all different. Kids my age, we're all different. Money, we all want a shiny new car. We all want to be connected. We all want the world. And you have to, as a manager or as a recruiter, you have to understand what motivates that individual person and show them a way that they will be able to take this and seize this opportunity, and it will get them to where they want to be, doing it how they want to do it.
Love that.
I totally agree with that. The main things that I see we can use to attract younger people into our field is, number one, increase the compensation, because we are doing things that are very technically challenging and you have to wear multiple hats. A lot of people can't fix a lot of these cars, so there's what we call a parts changer or a shotgunner, where you kind of just say, I think it's them, kind of shotgun it. Comes back, now you have to actually become a diagnostician, and that requires reading and studying, and all that takes time, and nobody wants to come to $15 an hour, all of these different hats. And also the working environment and the culture. You want to be respected where you're at, and you want to have a continuous path to becoming a better version of yourself, as well as a better version of a technician. So if you want to go to training to learn about the newer systems on these vehicles, to become able to work on these cars, because you won't even be able to touch and electric car unless you're certified on it, because there's a hazard of death, and that's a huge liability. But you want to make sure that that is conveyed. Like a lot of times when I had little fairs at my college, these dealerships would come in with their tents, and they would kind of say, oh, this is why you need to come with us. And they would have little coffee mugs and this and that. And then when it gets down to compensation, it's like, oh, we pay this much an hour, this much flat rate. And hourly versus flat rate is very different. Warranty versus customer pay is very different. People, it's kind of like a stigma. People think that we're just turning wrenches, getting greasy and stuff like that. But no, like we're actually doing things that like an electrical engineer would do. And it's very challenging, but also very rewarding. And it's very far and few in between where you see people making 6 figures plus a year, but it's very possible. But I don't think that's really known throughout the entire automotive community. Like for the younger generation trying to get into this field, everybody wants to go and be famous on TikTok or YouTube or in the medical field. But I consider myself a doctor of automotive, doctor of Beamers, because it requires a lot of studying and a lot of staying up on your skills. There's a clear pathway to success in this field, but it's not really conveyed to the younger generation. They're just seeing them in their dirty work clothes, and that's it.
Flat rate as a whole is spectacular. I love flat rate because flat rate is that accountability, and you have the ability to make 6 figures if you just sit and do the work. And a fun story that I know is about a guy I used to work with in detail at the store. He was working a flat rate. He was a good worker, turned a lot of hours, but he wanted this hourly position, and they were offering $20 an hour, something like that. And he was making 18 a labor hour. And he gave up this flat rate position to go to an hourly position that later on the line found out wasn't what he wanted to do. So he was throwing a muck. And I mean, even $18 a flat rate hour, that's really freaking good. And if you turn the hours and if you put in the work, that's a lot of money. And just flat rate is that accountability. And I attest a lot of the back of the house's motivation should come from seeing how well flat work can work if you just put in that effort. And that's what some other techs, I believe, some other back of the house workers may realize, is that they may not understand flat rate. And kids my age, we don't understand flat rate. So if you make them understand that, listen, this is based on the work you put into this. You can make six figures just like this if you just put your nose down and work. And that's just flat rate, man. I love hearing about that.
Yeah, and so on the other side of that, Sawyer, and you talked about the guy leaving the $18 an hour flat rate to go do 20 an hour as hourly, right? Is we as leaders need to understand the personalities of our teams, right? That person that left, maybe somebody who's a really risk averse person, right? In which case, flat rate can be a pretty scary existence for them if you're a risk averse person, right? For somebody to go, well, how much am I going to make this week, right, on Monday morning, and have the boss go, I have no idea. We'll see how the week goes, right? Like for some of us, that's like, all right, this is going to be cool, and I'm going to see how much I can make. For others, that's a total panic attack, right? That they don't know how much they're going to make, and so as leaders, we need to be aware of what our team's motivators are, but what their personality types are. Right? If they're more of a risk averse person, then maybe we need to have more of a base there for them to work off of, so they know that at the end of the week they're still going to make X amount of dollars, even if they don't turn the excessive flat rate hours.
Oh yeah, and I see a lot of guys, or I have seen a lot of guys, where it's like, okay, so I'm really not capped on how much I can make. So if a job pays 10 hours and I can do it in 2 hours, what if I do that 5 times? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but what about your quality? Are you making sure you're torquing everything? Are you doing everything that you're supposed to do? Or are you just
Right.
putting it together and shipping it out? And then that's where it comes into play, and then for comebacks and all that. So it can definitely be, like you said, Dave, like you have to know the person that you're working with.
Yeah, and that person may not be doing that out for any nefarious reason, right? Of shortcutting things. They may be doing it just because they're scared, and they need money at the end of the week to pay their rent, to buy food, whatever it is, right? And so they take those shortcuts because they're there trying to just provide for themselves, for a family, whatever it may be, and that's why understanding the personalities is so important. Um, so what do you guys see as must-haves in the automotive industry, when it comes to um, making a career in automotive more desirable, right? We just went through a whole bunch of different things, but what would be your top two must-haves? What does automotive absolutely need to have for somebody to go, that's where I want to have my career?
Number one, you got to be passionate. Don't get in this field if you don't like vehicles, and you got to have direction. Know what you want to do. If you want to change oil for the rest of your life, what you want to do, make it clear from the start. You want to work your way up the ranks and become a general manager of a dealership, let it be known. Just have it in your mind what you want to do.
Love that.
Ambition, 100%. Ambition is what I attest my willingness to work to. It is the ability to know that if I work hard enough, this will come back and reward me. And this will not only reward me, but it'll reward the community. And automotive, you have to plant your foundation. It is all about loyalty. Automotive is, if you want to get close with the community and if you want to progress, you have to stick and stand where you are. And I know there's probably some other instances where, yes, mobility is a huge plus. However, if you're trying to stay in tune with one community, plant your seeds, man. Set that foundation up and just grow within that community. Become a friendly face. Become somebody on a billboard even. Just be willing to give back to the community what you give to the industry, and 100% just ambition and passion, man. Passion. I freaking love the word passion. And I'm so happy that Dylan brought that up, is because passion is what gets you further. Passion is progress. And it's hands down number one contributor to success, number one contributor to ambition is passion.
You know what they say, you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Amen. Amen.
That is the truth. Well, Dylan and Sawyer, this has been a great addition of the mastermind. I feel really we'll use a pun here, really revved up about the industry and about its future when I talk to guys like you. The industry has evolved. It still has more evolution to come, and you guys are at the forefront of that. It's great to see, and I look forward to more young people getting into the industry, and I look forward to seeing where you guys are in the industry in 5 and 10 years from now. And so, Dylan and Sawyer, thank you again for joining us. It was great to have you both here.
And a pleasure. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
And that's another edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind, powered by OEM Interactive. And we will see everybody next week.